What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to VIVD Conversations. Today we're sitting with local gym owner, Markos Mosi.
What's going on?
He's owner of Fear Training, LLC. And we wanted to sit down and talk to him because, I mean, you can see him on social media. He's blowing it up every day. He's got the drive, he's got passion, and he's got a different perspective that is very community inclusive. So, you know, after getting an opportunity to sit down and meet and talk with him a little bit, I clearly saw that he's somebody who's out here trying to change the industry by starting with the local neighborhoods. And so, Markos, feel free to introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, most definitely. I appreciate you, man. First and foremost, it's a pleasure to be here. So right off the bat, my name is Markos Mosi. I'm the owner of Fear Training, LLC, and head trainer. Located here in San Leandro, California. Where you can find me at Fear Training or at Fear Training LLC. So they're two separate profiles, but you can check out my content on at Fear Training. Yeah, man, most definitely. I'm really glad to be here. First time doing something like this, so I'm really excited. So I'm happy to be here.
It's my man.
Yes, sir.
And so we're going to throw those IGs on there for you guys at the bottom, so keep an eye for those.
Make sure you hit that follow too.
Exactly. Subscribe, everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just want to start off, man. What was it like for you kind of growing up as a kid? I think, you know, a lot of people have starting places that are different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people start off in really affluent, wealthy neighborhoods, which have their own cons. And then there are people who start off in, you know, lower, less developed neighborhoods,
Yeah.
and those have their pros and cons. And then there's people in the middle too, anywhere between that. So just to give us a start as to what your start looked like, you know, I feel like that's really important to see where your journey then progresses from. So what was that like?
Most definitely, man. And a lot of people may not even know this. I am originally from Athens, Greece. And then from there, me and my family, we moved to the Netherlands and stayed out there. And then we actually came to the States when I was 6. So let's say 2000 going into 2001. Being from a family of immigrants, obviously we didn't have much coming here at first. Stayed with family and so forth. And then finally getting on our feet, or at least my parents getting on their feet to provide a life, right? So I think a lot of people, that obviously they wouldn't expect that. But I would say for the most part, man, there's not anything I was really missing. I think my parents did a really great job of giving me everything that I needed to be successful. And even though they tried, obviously they had to work harder being immigrants and all that. You know, opportunities weren't the same right off the bat. But I mean, to see where we started to where we are now, I mean, it's been a huge level change, right? And at least, maybe it may not seem like that from the outside, but at least within, we know for sure, like where we started to where we are now is definitely different. So I wouldn't say that I had like a super rough childhood or or a very super like wealthy childhood neither. Cause I mean, I didn't come from wealth or anything like that, but I definitely came from a hardworking family, and like seeing my parents like kind of grind it out. And like I said, to be where we are now, I think it definitely inspired me to be like, yo, there's no way I don't give back to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's that's for sure my biggest motive. And like why I'm just like, I gotta be on go. Cause I'm like, yo, they're still working or whatever they're doing, they're still helping me out in whatever ways I need them. So like my biggest drive is for sure, like, yo, I gotta repay them in any way that I can. So yeah, it's a little bit about me, man. For those people that didn't know, a lot of people, obviously they see me and they're just thinking I'm like a regular like Bay Area dude, but I'm not. So.
Right. You came into the Bay.
Yeah, I came into the Bay, but I mean I've been here ever since. So I do consider myself from the Bay Area, obviously. So yeah.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of mindset would you say your parents had? Like obviously they grinded, right? But you know, you can grind from scarcity, grind from abundance. Do you feel like your parents had any specific mindset, and what did you take from watching them grind and how did that develop?
I say their biggest motive, man, for sure, is making sure me and my brother were good. Yeah. They didn't really care too much of their own, like, oh, we need vacation, or like, hey, we're missing this, or like whatever. It's definitely like, hey, what do you guys need? Or like, if we wanted to pursue something, like for myself, when I wanted to do EMT, like they were like, okay, what do you need? Like, how can we help you? Or like, for instance, opening my gym or becoming a personal trainer, which they weren't too fond of in the beginning, obviously. But they were right behind me, like, hey, what do you need? What can we do? So again, I think their drive of just like, all right, well, we're going to keep grinding and we're going to sacrifice our elevation to make sure that you can get right. Because, so I think that's their biggest drive, which again inspires me, right? Because I'm like, I see they could have done better, or I see that they have opportunities to do more, but they're using that opportunity or like money or whatever it may be to help me and my brother or whatever the case is, you know. So kind of seeing that sacrifice, it kind of plays hand in hand with why I'm like, yo, I got to give back to them.
Right. That's big though, for you to even be able to recognize that your parents have given up so much, because there's so many examples of kids where their parents do everything and give them the world, but they choose to look the other way. And not even that they're doing it consciously, but you know, when things are being handed to you, it's really easy to just accept that as fact, right?
For sure, yeah.
So to have your parents do everything in their power to give you and your brother the opportunities that, you know, are making you guys who you are today, like how did you get to that point of being able to be like, wow, they're sacrificing, right? They're literally sacrificing for me. Now I got to be able to give back, right? Because that's a mindset where people, that's where it's selfless, right? You're coming from, I see that, and now let me give back too. So how did you get to that point?
I'd say probably definitely when I moved away for college. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Sacramento State to play ball there, which for me, you know, like college was never, well, the only way I was going to get to college if it was going to be paid for. And my mom literally said it. They're like, you want to go to college, like get it paid for.
Right.
Because obviously the funds weren't there, and then you know how it is when you get a job and then try to go to school at the same time. Like that's a whole nother world, right? So once I got out there, being in Sacramento, though it's not really far, but still like a good hour, 30 minutes away. First time being away from my family. Didn't really realize how much they did for me in the beginning until I kind of went away. But then seeing like, oh, if I needed something, or like, hey, I got hurt at practice, or like, yo, I got a game coming up, or like, I don't know, if I'm stressing because I got finals, like they were able to make their way, or like if I needed something extra that I wasn't able to get, they were on their way to me. So again, sacrificing. It's not easy to just drive an hour and a half and then while I'm away, right? But seeing that their willingness to again be right behind me to kind of help me out in any way that I needed, I was like, yo, again, you got to find a way to get them back. So I'm seeing that even in high school, as they were supporting me coming to my games or whatever I possibly had and I had in mind, they were just like, all right, well, if this is what you want to do, like we'll be there with you. So just again, kind of seeing that and then realizing like where I'm from, right? Nothing was really handed to me, or I still had to work for everything to get in order to get to where I am right now. So I think it's a different mindset coming from an immigrant background versus like being born in the States. So I think that's something that for my immigrants, people that travel here, you can kind of relate in that factor, I'm sure. You just kind of, your drive is a little different, if that makes sense, yeah.
I mean, there are people who have it bad here, but in the States, but outside of the States is a completely different ballgame. And I think a lot of times we are not so aware about the living conditions that other people are going through. And so to be able to live in America where for the most part, like you have free choice to do damn near whatever you want.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
And so when you know what the other side of the coin looks like, that can definitely be motivating for sure.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I know for myself, I grew up in a middle class family. You know, my mom and my dad were able to give me a lot. They got divorced when I was young, so I had a stepdad who stepped in and really paved the way in a lot of the education stuff. But there's a saying that I heard where it says pretty much like people in that middle class who are the most comfortable have it the hardest because they haven't seen that other side of the coin. And I can agree with that, but I think, like you might agree with, no matter where you're from, we all have access to that next level, and you got to find that grind mindset regardless, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, with that all being said, in terms of like developing the grind mindset, was that something that came from college football, or is that something that combined with college football, seeing what your parents have done, you came to a point of realizing I need to go above and beyond? Like, what did that look like? Was it a click moment? Was it developed over time? How did that?
I'll say it developed over time, but definitely when I got into high school and college became even college football became even a thing, right? I got my first like college letter, and I'm like, and I was a basketball player first and foremost, like starting off. Like my parents didn't even allow me to play football. I actually snuck to football practice in my basketball shoes. Because I didn't have cleats, and there was no way my parents were going to buy me cleats in high school because they didn't want me to play football. Yeah, I came, and they were like, "Why you come back home so late?" I'm like, "Oh, I have basketball practice." Nowhere near basketball season, right? But they don't know. They don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I went to football practice in my basketball shoes, and then I'm going to San Lorenzo High School. It's not a very big high school, so they're like, "Fine, you're on the team, whatever, cool." First time putting pads on and everything. But like junior year when I got that, or sophomore year when I got that first like college letter, I was like, oh damn, well I guess this is a possibility. So that's kind of where it started clicking, where I'm like, okay, maybe I should start like lifting weights, and I started watching other tight ends in the NFL and in college, and I'm like, well, I think I could do this. Like I'm fast, I'm this, and I just started putting two and two together, getting a gym membership, starting to work out, started emulating. Like imitating what I see in like, you know, the other tight ends doing and stuff like that. And then until I started gradually getting better, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this now. And then that's where kind of my mindset shifted, where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pursue football. And then like obviously I'm gonna play basketball throughout high school, but that's not gonna be like a future move for me. And then once more attention started going through college, and then just developing that grind mindset in the sense of like not a lot of people from this area actually get that opportunity to go to college for free, right? Because again, it's not a very affluent area. It's not, so sports is kind of like you either do it to do it, but like nobody really, it's very hard that you see some like people take it serious where they're like grinding in the off season, going to the gym after practice, then keeping up with your studies, like maintaining above a 3.0, whatever the case is, like especially now that's kind of like shifted a lot in this area, right? So I took pride in that, being that athlete, like, yo, I made it out, or like I got a scholarship, wherever it was, like I took pride in that, so I was like, I gotta maintain that same thing to keep it going. So for me, that was a big thing, and I think definitely that's where like that grind mentality came from, is being able to kind of walk around, and it does make me feel good, like, yo, I kind of, like, people helped me along the way, but I had to put in so much work to get to that next level, and especially like playing college football or even getting a free education. Like it may not have as much weight now, but you know, back then it for sure did.
For sure. Well, and the weight is held in the mindset that was being developed during that time, right? Because now you're taking that perspective that you gained and applying it to other aspects of your life outside of football, outside of college. And so during that time, you learned what it looks like to hustle on multiple fronts, school and sports, being able to keep up with both of them, but also recognizing like, damn, when you succeeded, it felt good.
Yeah.
Right? And when you got to that next level, and when you got passing grades, it felt good. That work felt worthwhile, right?
No doubt.
And I think a lot of times people don't go through enough of the work to figure out that it feels good.
Yeah.
They go through just enough to feel the pain and be like, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, it's not the pain that is for you, it's the process and the result that's like for you, right?
And a lot of times, man, I feel that, like the end result is always great because that's like the finish line, right? But I feel like the process is where everything is gained. Like where if you don't enjoy the process, there is no way, and that's for everybody. If if you don't enjoy the process, there's absolutely zero way you'll enjoy the final result.
Yeah, I heard if you don't enjoy the process, then you might as well just stop now.
Yeah, you have to.
Like, you have to really
stop now, because you're looking for something. And I feel like in entrepreneurship, you can't look for anything. I mean, obviously you got to look at certain things, but you can't look for something and say this is the finish line.
Yeah.
Because it's never like that. So I feel like, again, if you're not enjoying the journey, you're not enjoying being broke, you're not enjoying being like, yo, what's my next move? If you don't enjoy that, then you're never going to enjoy like making a sale or getting a project done or whatever the case is, because you're not going to get there. You know what I mean? So you have to enjoy that grind in order to know what success feels like. And it can be small, like I said, getting a project done, closing your first sale. It can be those things, but you have to do so much research and so much studying to know how to close that first sale, or how to get that project done, how to learn how to edit and so forth. And I think a lot of people aren't willing to use their free time to develop those skills.
Yeah.
Or find those resources where they can do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my big, yeah, for sure.
Man, you just said something right there. You said you don't think people use the time to find those resources?
Their free time.
Their free time,
Their free time. Because everybody works, people work from, their schedules are crazy, right? Everybody, especially now, still bouncing back from COVID. Everyone's schedule is crazy. But we all have free time.
For sure.
But those, utilizing that free time is what kind of separates you to that next level.
Yeah.
Whether that be the weekend, whether that be ignoring that nap, whether that be, partaking in extracurricular activities, whatever it is.
Right.
I think being able to sacrifice and being able to kind of know what you want to do will kind of help you out in your free time. Because if you're like, I'm just going to kind of take a nap or kind of do whatever I want to do, now you kind of just set yourself back to where you were. You've done nothing in that time. But sometimes you do need rest. But again, like I said, it's just for those who are that hungry, right? To kind of make it happen and sacrifice.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Like it's the free time is often used as like an escape, right? From the time that they spend working and fulfilling that paycheck. And that's usually what it is we're all trying to do these different things to fulfill a paycheck because, they say money is not important or whatever, but it's like we need it in order to quote unquote live in society.
Yeah.
Not to live, but to live in society, right? You have to pay for it.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
So many people put all of their energy into that form of pursuit. And then next thing they know, they don't have any leftover energy to even think about what they might be passionate about. They find, they get stressed out at work or whatever they're doing throughout the day, and then they come home and they'll either, drink or smoke and just chill. I smoke, right? But when I smoke, I'm trying to be as productive as I can. I'll hit the pen and then I go and start at least cleaning my house. And you know what I mean? I don't ever smoke and just sit on the couch.
Same.
And so I'm not against that by all means, but there are people who will just smoke and then go watch 4 hours worth of movies. And it's dude, that's 4 hours of time.
Yeah.
You can get a lot done in 4 hours.
A lot done.
And it's I'm all for watching movies, but for me, this at my job, it was went to work, got off at 5, home by 6, and then I was on the computer at least till 11 or 12, right? You have your 9 to 5 and then your 5 to 9.
Yeah.
And then after that, watch the movie, right? Have that time to relax, meditate, chill, eat some ice cream.
Yeah.
I think you need to know that balance, but you're saying, you gotta have that grind too. You gotta grind first, and you can't just use I was at work all day as your justification.
Yeah, because you're not at work all day. Like you said, you're 9 to 5, and then you have from 5 until 9 the next day that you can utilize. So whatever that may be, whatever it may be, whatever you use your time, but you have that time. That's the time that you have, and you have to make it work somehow. You also have the weekend. We can go into that one too, where most people, like you said, they use the weekend to escape. They use their free time to escape, where they like to go to bars or whatever, or I'm tired, I want to go drink or have fun, which is cool. but can you function after? Because you spend the next day hungover and not feeling well.
Right.
And then, you're complaining about not having money, but you check your account and you just spent $150 on drinks and eating bad. And then you say you're not in shape, but you just ate and drank sugary drinks. So like you've set yourself back so much by just having that one day of fun. Where like if you sacrificed it, like don't get me wrong, I like to have fun too. But you gotta prioritize what's important. You can have one day of fun in the month, but then use those 3 other weekends to be productive.
Right.
I mean, and then again, my biggest thing is that if you're not where you want to be, if you don't have the money that you want to have, what exactly are you celebrating? And that's a tough reality. Like, don't get me wrong, I used to party a lot, but it clicked. Like, why am I spending $150, $200, and then I'm complaining on Wednesday, like, yo, I don't have $150 or $200. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got drunk for nothing.
It's like celebrating that you got through the week.
Yeah, you celebrating you got through the week, but you can celebrate by learning something new or, closing, like getting to a bag, like how people like to say. You can celebrate in that way too.
For sure.
But again, people don't see it that way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point did you realize that going a more traditional work route was not for you and you wanted to pursue entrepreneurship?
COVID, man. COVID.
Most people's answer was
COVID. That's a one-word answer.
Bro, but like they say, in downfall, there's opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we hear a lot of people say. Maybe it's not opportunity starting a business, it's opportunity to check in with yourself.
It's the check-in. I had no plans on ever being a personal trainer. It's never even crossed my mind. My only thing was, I was actually an EMT pursuing firefighting.
Right.
And I knew that was going to be my future. But, with the hiring slowing down and everything during COVID, it just made things a little more complicated. And I didn't see the end result in a likely time frame that would work for my situation. So I kind of had to take it upon myself. But then also my clicking moment was that, damn, the gym shut down. That was my escape. And I work out anywhere from 5 to 6 times a week. So not having that, I'm like, oh shit, well, what now? Like, you can't work out. And I mean, push-ups are great and all, but I like to lift weights. I like to lift weights, and how many push-ups can you do? So I was fortunate enough again to have a pretty good space in my backyard. But even before then, obviously utilizing what I learned from college football, I just took it upon myself, like everybody has the same problem. There are no gyms. There's nowhere to work out. We all have one common problem. There's football fields and there's the stairs in Oakland or Lake Mary or whatever the case is, the marina. There's those. So I kind of used what I learned during football and all this, and I kind of ran people through, just kind of hosted like outdoor workouts. Eventually started growing. They kind of led to another, and then it just kind of became something. There was no real way to kind of explain it. For me, it was just, I just needed to work out. And then, why work out by myself? If other people are willing to come work out, hey, everybody, let's come work out. Like, we all need to anyway, right? Not in that sense, but we all need to because there's no other option. So why not make something? So that's how it started. Like I said, I was fortunate to have some space in my backyard. And one night I just kind of went to my backyard and I'm like, wow, it's a bunch of trash here. What if I kind of cleaned it up and bought some weights? Crazy idea, because I'm like, weights are hella expensive, there's no way. But then I started off with 3 kettlebells. Got 3 kettlebells, started doing workouts with me and my homeboy, and then I started getting like little foam pads to protect the cement. And then I bought a barbell. And then it just, one thing led to another and it started growing. And I'm like, oh, before I knew it, I'm like, I kind of got a mini gym going on over here. So again, created somewhere for people to work out.
So real quick, at that point, in your mind, are you thinking I'm building a gym? Or in that mind, you just had the moment of clicking up, I want to work out, and if other people want to work out, they can too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even the business clicking yet. It was just the
working out.
I just want to work out still.
Yeah.
Clicked. And so you then were like, let me figure out how I can create that environment so that I can work out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, other people are interested, right? So then they just started adding themselves on because they knew you. You're like, oh, they come through.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay. And so cool. Keep going.
Oh, no, yeah. So I had one of the, some of the people that were coming, I actually had them tell me and like their parents or whatever it was, them tell me like, yo, what you got going on, guy? Actually pretty cool. Like I wouldn't even mind paying for this. And then once I heard that, I was like, dang, oh, you would pay for this? Like, this is just a workout. Like, I didn't put two and two together, right? Because again, it just never even crossed my mind before. So I was just like, oh, you wouldn't mind paying. So then that's,
I could use more weight.
yeah, I was like, I could use some more weight to keep this going. I'm like, I only got one barbell.
Yeah.
So it just started going with that. And then, even when I was doing like the outdoor workouts, I think I was doing like free to $5. I think free to $5. And the 5 was like, if you give me 5, cool. If you don't, cool. Did you enjoy the workout? Cool. Like it was, that was it for me at that moment. But once I started getting to my backyard and I seen like people started wanting to come through, or like I seen like exposure was going on Instagram and so forth, I'm like, oh, maybe I got something here. Maybe I will look into like what it is to become a personal trainer or how that even like goes about. Because all I knew personal trainers were like in the gym. But right off the bat, I'm already like not even putting myself in that situation. So kind of figuring out how to not be in a commercial gym, but how to kind of create my own thing.
Like a freelance trainer.
Like a freelance trainer. And then I was like, well, then the brand itself, like Fear, came about. So
right. And is that an acronym for anything? Does that mean?
Yeah, it's actually an acronym for Face Everything and Rise. Face Everything and Rise.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I don't even know. I can't even tell you exactly how I came about that. But like we had a discussion before, and I told you one of my favorite books was The Rose That Grew from Concrete. It's by Tupac. And after reading that, like that image of the rose growing from the concrete, and I took it in the sense of like making something happen from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, regardless of what situation you're in, you can make something beautiful happen.
Right, the beauty and the ugly.
Yeah, the beauty and the ugly. Pandemic was the ugly situation most of us have seen, and for us, definitely in our lifetime, right? Like everything shut down. And then how can I make something cool or dope or beautiful happen from it? And then Fear came about.
Mm-hmm.
Or, the gym came about. So that's like my rose, which is why it's my logo.
What I love about everything that you just said, and I think what a lot of people don't understand or realize is like, it's not always a decisive, immediate, single moment decision. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of times doing what you do, like entrepreneurial aspect speaking, is because of the fact that you have a solution you have a situation that you need a solution for. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that I talk about when it comes to just creativity in general is creativity is just like problem solving, right? Most time when we're creating, it's because we have a problem and we're trying to find a solution for it. Like even in rap and music, right? That's one of those examples where they're just trying to vent or express their frustrations about their situation, and then that is a story that's being told through that.
Yep.
So I think that's really incredible that like literally one day pandemic happens. Next day you think I need to find a gym. Next day after that you think, well, why don't I create a gym? Next day after that, well, I have space in my backyard. Mm-hmm. Clear up the junk. Boom. And so it's like step.
Kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, like not realizing that it's not going to be so black and white. That sometimes you kind of have to do like the free trial process, or kind of just trying it out for 3 to 6 months, and kind of seeing if it works out or if it's your niche, and then knowing when to, if it's not, knowing when to get out of it. Like don't just stick into it if it's not working out. Like get out of it and start something new. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that if you're good with the process of like taking some L's or just kind of like trial and error, then you'll kind of find out to see what your calling is or what you're actually trying to do in the long run.
And so you were saying people started telling you they would pay for your training services, and what you're like, I didn't even know I was providing the service. I thought
I thought we was just working out. Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, boom, you have people that kind of start telling you, hey, this could be a business, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, what was that learning gap like, right? So you said you started looking at what it took to become a trainer, right? So I assume you got certified to become a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to go through that process.
Yeah.
And then from there, what does that learning gap look like of, okay, I played football and worked out, now I'm going to start trying to actually become a trainer. And in this moment, are you thinking business yet, or like your training's already been started?
Right now, at this moment, yeah, I'm thinking business for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're business minded.
Yeah, now I'm business.
People are telling you I'm paying, like I pay for your stuff.
Yeah.
So what's that learning gap like?
The learning gap is doing the research. So for me, it was like, getting certified is one thing, like that's cool. But then also using social media, like you have access to people that are doing what you want. But you just kind of have to like seek out and find the right profiles or the right people to follow. And I not met him in person, but I found this cool trainer. He's based out of Texas. And I kind of started like looking at his profile, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, how did he go about this? Seeing that he was offering a course, bought the course. And I was just like, well, what do I have to lose? I'm like, I might as well learn. He was offering a discount. So I'm like, let me see what he's talking about. Little did I know that course kind of helped me jumpstart everything. And then just kind of continuing on that is that just doing the research, like obviously looking at different people's profiles that are successful personal trainers, getting the right books, looking on YouTube, like what does it actually take? Me, I knew that I wanted to start my own brand, so I had a different mindset than like just trying to be a personal trainer. I had to figure out the business mindset. How can I differentiate my product or my service from anything else that's already out there? How do I market it as, yes, it's personal training, but how can I market it different than like what a commercial gym would? How do private facilities even work? Like, whatever question I had, I Googled. So that's like, it sounds crazy, but like it's that simple.
Right. That's the thing people don't realize, bro. There's so many times I'm talking to somebody and they're like, I just don't know how to go about this. I'm like, well, what's the question you have? And like, well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Google it. Literally, Google it. Something's gonna pop up, articles will pop up, profiles will pop up, and it's on you what you want to retain. And yeah, it's like how long are you willing to spend? If you're only spending 5 minutes a day, like you're like, oh, this person looks cool, but do no further research on it, and then all you did was just scroll through Instagram and just look at profiles. It's different to just consume than it is to like consume, retain, and then take an action step to figure out how you can apply that for yourself. Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's the biggest learning gap for me was that, for me, is once I'm honed in on something, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that I can provide a good experience. Or I can learn as much as I can in order to go full force with it. So at this point, right, you're honed in. Mm-hmm. Would you say that you feel passionate about it yet? Or are you still like in a learning space where you don't even know how you feel about it? Where are you at? Oh, no, I'm definitely passionate about what I do, man. Especially now at this point, kind of seeing how it's growing and seeing the people coming in, but most importantly, seeing like what they're saying when they leave and how, again, sometimes for me, I'm like, damn, I'm just trying to provide a workout. But for people, how they're taking it is like, yo, you just provided me a whole different experience. Or like, yo, this workout got me wanting to get back into the gym, or like losing weight has made me a whole different person. Whatever the case is, like I'm super passionate about that and like helping people out. And I feel like that's the real way that you get honed in on something is if you're passionate about it, because you can like something a lot or you can love something, but if it's not giving you love right back, you may not even, if it's not reciprocating that love in whatever way, it's easy to let go of that, you know? So I feel like having passion and having love or like for something is definitely completely different. Whereas like if you're passionate about something, you're like, yo, I can't let this go for nothing, right? Right. Yeah. It's almost like the idea of if I stop trying, it'll haunt me kind of thing. For sure. And right? I don't want to be 60 years old and be like, what if I tried that gym? Mm-hmm. You know, what if I tried that photography business? Right? And so would you say that that is a good indicator as to knowing when you're passionate about something? Because I almost feel like a lot of people have a hard time of even being able to say, I'm passionate about this, right? They're like, I don't even know.
I think that indication is your like light bulb to say go for it. And then you'll find out. You'll find out if you're passionate about it, you'll find out if it's meant for you. But if you already know you're gonna regret it by not doing it, just do it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that you may lose out on some money, and then you're going to be exactly where you started before you took that leap.
Right.
So really, you only lost some money.
You'll have not even to be exactly where you started. You'll be a step ahead in a sense because you'll know what not to do.
You'll gain the knowledge.
Right.
Yeah. So you'll actually be better off if you even take that, whether you fail or you succeed, because like you said, you'll gain that knowledge.
Right.
But again, you have to be willing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to take L's. And I think that's the biggest thing in entrepreneurship, but I think that's the biggest thing in life.
So what would you say what was like, I don't want you to go through all your L's, but just what was an L that you went through that you could say, man, I learned from this, and now because of that, I've been able to advance in this area? Like, what's just one of them? Because we in podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff, we always get to see all the hype and the good stuff and the growth, but not every time do people talk about the loss they had in order to get that growth, right? So what was one that, like a major one that stands out to you?
That realization that firefighting was going to work out for me. And not even in the sense of like, I didn't want to do it, because I mean, till today, like if you're telling me like, yo, there's an opportunity and you can go ahead and do firefighting, but like you'll start tomorrow, shit, I'll probably still do it, man. Don't get me wrong. I'll find a way to balance both. I'll still do it, because that I was like, that was pretty cool. Like that was pretty cool. And I would, again, help people. But realizing that wasn't going to work for me. And then that was knowing that was my plan B or plan C, and that I didn't really have shit else.
It's like you had a plan B with no plan A.
Plan A, no plan B. Plan A was like, I was gonna go to the NFL. Had surgery my senior year in college. Plan B, I'm gonna pursue HR. Well, there was a technical, didn't learn tech. So there goes that one, and I'm like, it's going rapidly, right? So next thing, I'm like, all right, EMT, that's going well. Fire, this is the timeline. Ooh, that ain't gonna work for me. Damn, what's next? So that's like where I think the pandemic helped out a lot, where it's just like everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my realization, was like, yo, you went through your whole list, like from high school, this was the list, A, B, C, D, and then you get there, I'm done with my degree and everything, and I've went through everything, and then I'm like, well, shit, here we go.
Right.
So that was my big thing, where I'm like, if it wasn't for COVID, it would have definitely been tough.
Yeah.
Just because everything was going a million miles per hour.
For sure. So you didn't have enough time to even slow down or reflect as to what direction you might want to go to. And that's something too that's really important, is like, just because you're set on a path, just because you have a direction, doesn't mean that you can't stop and look up every once in a while. Because, when you're traveling a distance, right, we'll use an actual physical distance. If you're traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, a 2-degree change could be the difference of ending up in Maine or ending up in South Carolina.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of those places could be your ideal location, and another one could be a place you don't really care to be and end up getting depressed and live 40 years there and the rest of your life, and then you retire and never did anything you wanted to do. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And so it's like taking that, look around, figure out, I'm still going where I want to go, is super important. And I think we, kind of covered that. Like COVID was that moment for a large percentage of society.
Yeah, no doubt. And I feel like, I don't want to speak negatively, but I feel like the people that didn't take advantage of that still period in COVID are having a hard time readjusting now, because things are like way faster than they were before. The job market is changing like crazy. They're trying to play catch up. Businesses are trying to play catch up. It's wild out there. And where now, even if you were at a high position job, like you're not even safe anymore. So it's like, if you took advantage of COVID and kind of like learning the extra skills or doing something extra with your time, you kind of found it. Like you should have found a way that you don't need to rely on just your paycheck job to be successful, or like to live how you want to live.
Mm-hmm. So now, I mean, I know we touched on like a big motivation for you was your parents and being able to help them.
Yeah.
But what would you say is your why, your North Star, that main vision that you're trying to achieve, and what do you think it'll look like to get there?
Man, to tell you the truth, once my parents are good, I'm good. Once my parents are good, they're not getting, like, not saying that I'm like, oh, I'm kicking back now, but once they're good, that's like my North Star, I would definitely say. But as far as like what I see next for myself, or like what I want to do, like in the grand scale of things, I definitely want to have fear training in multiple locations, but just being that one super nice training facility that's completely different than your regular gym. And I don't want to have like a million locations where it's like franchises and everything like that. I do want it to be exclusive. And I haven't really figured out exactly all the cities that I want to be in, but I definitely want to be in the Bay Area. So I'd say for now, if I can open up my Bay Area location, being that brand, that fitness brand in the Bay Area, that's definitely like what I'm aiming for right now. And I feel like I'm on the route to it. I don't feel like there's a lot of people doing what I'm doing, or kind of have the brand that I have, or even just like the support group that I have, to kind of make it happen the way I'm doing it. So I feel like I do have a niche, and I feel like I do have something that's different. So now it's just a matter of just continuously keep the foot on the gas.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And so from COVID, you know, when all the gyms shut down and you're like, I need to do something slightly different, what was like the solution and the answer that you found to do your gym differently in a way to where if a COVID or a pandemic happens again, that it's not going to affect you the way it did many other gyms? Like, did you come up with a solution for that, or are you just like focused on getting this to where you want it to be in the time that we have now?
Got you. I think the brand itself, so I'm kind of tearing my program into being more online, would be kind of like what I don't want to say really focusing on, but that's like the next shift, like that's the next step. I want to have that aspect to where I can provide online workouts, online training. So that's definitely like my next shift as well. But then also realizing that there's, like, since I am an entrepreneur, I'm not really tied. Like, yes, I'm tied to my business, but I do have the free time to kind of explore other options as well. Mm-hmm. So again, just utilizing my time. So like if COVID happens and I'm not able to use my gym for whatever reason, use it for whatever reason, cover up the windows, close, nice big close sign. If I'm not able to utilize that, then I figure that there's other markets, whether it be real estate or whether it be Amazon or whatever it is, there's other markets that you can kind of utilize to still help yourself out. So I think, again, even if you're an entrepreneur, you're honed in on your business, and yes, I want to make it grow, but it's also utilizing that time to find out other markets too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's huge. And right now we're seeing a big growth in the online course marketplace. Mm-hmm. And so there's even just a ton of options and platforms that you could utilize to have hosted online courses.
Yep.
And I think, dude, fitness and gyms especially are one of those things where you can definitely do that so easily. Have even a bigger show up on a Zoom call damn near. Be like, all right, everybody, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
And you get to just watch on your Zoom as everybody does it. Karen, 90 degrees, come on, man.
Most definitely. And I think that I'm kind of set up for that. If that were to happen, for me, it's just a matter of like having those programs written out. Like I do have programs written out, but just having them like in the storage, you know, like in case something like that were to happen. And I guess how I would start doing that now is just start playing around with it a little bit, maybe hosting like an online Zoom workout, like you said, or IG live workout, or whatever it is, and then kind of building that, like that niche in itself, building that up.
Nice, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a few more questions, I guess, before we really start wrapping it up here. What is, like, with this gym, what is your main focus in terms of how you want to provide value to people. Like when you were, I mean, you saw it as you were doing it in your backyard, but you know, that was people kind of coming up and telling you, hey, like, we find this valuable.
Yeah.
So over that time that you've been developing, have you created like a concrete, like, this is the value that I love providing to people. These are the people that I want to do it for. Have you figured that out yet?
The people I do want to, for me, it's bigger than fitness, and that's one of my mottos. People don't always enjoy working out. They don't like the thought of it. They don't like being in pain or the thought of being sore. So my tail end of it is create an experience while you're at it. From the aesthetic of how it looks when you step in, or what you know, celebrating holidays that are coming up, kind of make people feel comfortable, where it takes away the fear of, oh shit, I'm about to work out right now, I'm about to go through it, versus being like, oh yeah, I want to go, like, let me see what he has in store for me today, or like, oh yeah, I kind of want to check it out, or whatever it is, like, now you're wanting to do it because it's an experience. You don't see it as a hassle. Not only in that sense too, but like, I do want to grow my brand. So like, I started already by having one trainer that I'm subcontracting, that's working with the brand. So I want to open that opportunity to multiple trainers, where I'm, again, like we were talking earlier, where I want to help them out as well. Not everybody's fortunate enough to open their own space, or whatever the case is, or create a brand that people just fall in love with, or like fall in line with. So if I can provide that to them, like how commercial gyms do, but do it in a sense where they already feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing something completely different. I'm affiliated with a brand that I really enjoy, that I really like, that actually looks out for me. So in the near future, I do want to open it up to a lot more trainers, kind of teach them how I went about growing myself as a personal trainer, kind of giving them the ins and outs of what I've learned along the way, and kind of helping them out as well. So that's like another service that I do want to provide. And I'm starting that up with the one trainer that I have now.
There we go.
Yeah, so
it's
kind of
all
that umbrella.
action steps. It's small steps, and it's like what we were talking about before. It's one small step after another, and then over, you know, when you're looking back after over 2 years, 5 years, a lot of it looks like you made leaps, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the compound effect of a lot of steps adding up, and it starts with one trainer, and then 5 years go by, and next thing you know, you got 15 trainers, and then another 5 years, you got, you know, 2 locations and 40 trainers.
Most definitely.
And it's going to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but how people are going to see it is going to be 1 to 10 to 30 to 75 to 6 locations. When did you open up 6 locations? Well, over the span of 12 years. You know, the last time you tapped in was 8 years ago. Right? So that's like really big, is an overnight success often took 10 years to create. You know what I mean? So what happens overnight for everybody else, because of the routines that they're on, you know, days go by, they don't even notice it. Goes by, and then that's why they say time flies, right? But when you're taking every day to work towards something, and you're being intentional with each moment of that day, time doesn't fly.
It doesn't fly,
Each day goes by the exact same as the one before. And you either got a lot done or you got distracted.
Exactly.
You know? But when you're not paying attention to your time and you're not being present in the moment, then of course it's gonna fly. So speaking of time, I don't want to take up too much of yours, but I do really appreciate everything that you provided on this conversation with us today, and I really think that there's a lot of people out there that are going to get value. I mean, I know there's people in my own life where I'm like, damn, I need my homie to hear this. Oh, they're on a similar path. Oh yeah, you know, that'd be really factual. So this is stuff where it's like, any of you out there who are even in your chair right now thinking, I might want to start a gym, I might want to be a personal trainer, or I know how physical fitness can be done differently and better, don't be afraid to take that leap. Do something different. Like, the best thing that I was ever told was, when a market is oversaturated, that shouldn't deter you, because even in an oversaturated market, there are people that are meant to hear your voice. There are people that are meant to hear your values and what you can provide. So if you feel that you want to do something, chase it. And it's not going to be an overnight decision. You're not going to wake up like, I got it. As you found out from him, and as you'll find out from me, our journeys were long, multiple years before, and it was you know, 2 years that go by before you figure out the next step. But you have that feeling in the back of your head that I can't give this up. If I give this up, I'm gonna regret it. And if you have that feeling, pursue it, do whatever it is. Your parents might not agree at first. They might not want you to play football. But if he didn't play football, who knows where he'd be with weight training right now.
Yeah.
So all those steps are valuable. Don't let people discourage you. If you had one thing that someone told you or you heard or read somewhere that has made a huge difference on the way you think and gave you that self-belief to just pursue it, what would you say that was? And how would you share it to them?
I'd definitely say, man, if it keeps you up at night, it's worth pursuing. And another thing is that, again, if you feel like you're going to regret it, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, living with regret is possibly the worst thing I could imagine. So I definitely feel like if you know that you're going to regret it, the best thing that you can do is at least try it out. The worst thing that can happen is that you fail and then you learn from it, which in essence is still a W in the end. So I would definitely say, if I had one piece of advice for you, regardless of the market you're in, regardless of what your end goal may look like, because everyone's end goal is different, I say at least try. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to the people that love you, that sacrifice for you, or that have done anything for you. Just try. You might have one person that likes it, you might have a million people that like it, but if you never try, you'll never know. So I definitely say try. Mm-hmm.
You heard it from the man first.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, my man, I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Tap in. Check him out. Fear Training LLC on Instagram. We're going to tap his links in. Make sure that you go follow, subscribe, and shoot, sign up for a session. He's here in the Bay Area. Anybody who's in Hayward, San Leandro, San Lorenzo, Castro Valley, Fremont, Oakland,
it doesn't matter.
Berkeley.
The whole bag. Pull up. Yeah, pull up, man.
Close, man. Come tap in. It's vibes. It's vibes.
It's vibes. And yeah, if you guys have any business questions or anything, man, feel free to shoot me those DMs as well. I'm pretty cool. I'm not going to shy away from those messages. And I'm definitely willing to help out in any way that I can. So again, you got a couple of resources right here. Don't be afraid to use them. Reach out.
Bet.
Peace out, y'all.